Let's start with first set of functions, which we call this as arithmetic functions. Most of this you would be knowing: sum, average, absolute, large, small, max, min, count, and round. I'll show you how they work in a quick fire round. Then we'll go to the more complex formulas. So this is your basic first sheet. If we say find the total marks, now this kind of question has come in one of the interviews where the data was given as a very simple data, and the total mark heading was not there. This was not there. So the question was find the total marks. Now they have not given total marks in Hindi, English, Maths, or total marks of the student. Now here what I said in the first session is very important. When we talked about in the first session, we said that we should be looking into data properly. So if you look at this data properly, you will see that these are the students here, and these students have got some marks in their three subjects: Hindi, English, and Maths. So when I see the word total, it could be this way or it could be this way. So what is the right way of doing the total? Now, if I do total like this, it will give you total marks in Hindi. Now, analytically, it is not going to make any sense for me. Finding the total marks in Hindi will not give me anything out of it. Might give you an average only. But then average ke liye we have a formula. So, but when you calculate the total marks for a student, you can find his percentage and other things. Like if you look at your own sheets, the 100 is not added there. The total marks are added. You do not get your marks. Let's say, for example, you got marks in Hindi. So your Hindi marks, your friend's Hindi marks, and their friend Hindi marks, they are not added. Your individual marks are added. So when you're creating a total like this, understand analytically what looks good. So you can easily use the sum function, equal to sum. And since Excel is object-oriented programming, so what happens in here is automatically Excel will give you the output based on what you are inputting. So with all the formulas starts with an equal to sign. I say one last thing. Formulas can start with plus, minus, and equal to. The problem with this plus and minus are text functions. They don't work with this plus and minus because output cannot be plus or minus. Someone has entered iPhone. So we normally don't use them. You'll find some people who will be using this plus and minus. You should not be. We normally don't use this plus and minus here. Was entered, guys? 1 minute. Let me the people who are entering. Let me put them into the class. Guys, 1 minute. I'm just putting everyone into the class. Just give me 1 minute. All right, let's start. So we normally use this equal to. Sometimes you'll see equal to and plus sign. People who are starting with plus automatically will send equal to sign in the formula. Don't get worried if you see something like this. The formula might have entered with a plus sign. So when you enter with a plus sign, you can put an equal to also. Automatic, when you hit enter, this equal to will automatically come. So analytically, this sum makes more sense. So when I write SU, it'll start opening all the formulas which are starting with SNU. You can use your arrow key to move down and hit the tab key. You cannot hit enter here. If you hit enter, you will get name error. See, name error. So you cannot hit an enter while you're selecting from the drop down. You have to hit the tab key. And Normally the problem with sum starts if you are using the shift from here for making the selection. If you're using shift from the same cell, see what happens. We'll get a circular reference. This is happening because my formula is referring to its own cell. So Excel does not know where to give the answer. So we'll cross this and we'll start again. Equal to sum. Start selecting from the next cell. Shift and selection the way we discussed the selection in the morning and enter. Now what I want is I need this formula to go down till here. There are different ways of filling the formula. So let's know about those different ways. You can adopt to any way that you want. The first two is Control R, Control D. This fills formula on the right. This fills down. Now, the drawback with this, Control R and Control D will look into first cell of selection and repeat it. So you have to be very careful on what you are selecting as your first cell if you are trying to use Control R and Control D. So here, if you look at my first cell of selection is 196, which is a formula. So when I hit Control D here after making the selection, the formula automatically fills down. But if I start from here, what is in my first cell? Total marks. When I hit Control D, the same thing gets repeated in all the cells. So you have to be careful while using Control R and Control D. Whatever is there in the first cell, it gets repeated down. So when we use Control D, when you have to fill the formula down, when we use Control R, when you have to fill the formula on the right hand side. Now, second way, Control plus Enter. And third is your normal, you can use your mouse plus drag. I normally use this Control Enter. What it does is, it fills the formula in all selected cells. Plus, if we are using this on a single cell, the cursor will stay in the cell. Cursor will not go down. By default, it goes down in the next cell, but it will not go down if we are using Control Enter for a single cell. For example, let us remove this entire thing. Let me write this in one cell. So if I write sum and I add all of them, when I hit enter, it is going to the cursor is in the next cell. See, if I hit Control Enter, the cursor will remain in the same cell. If you want a cursor to remain in the same cell, you hit Control Enter. Now, how do I fill this up? Just select this entire thing. Now, manual selection will give you a lot of trouble. If this data was big, then selecting like 200 data will be a problem. So what do? We select from the down to the top. Because if you select from top to down by holding Control Shift down arrow, it will select till end. It does not have any data in between, so the selection will reach the end. So what you do is you come to the neighboring cell, and from here you select up till up. So when you're selecting from bottom to up, you know where to stop. Now it has selected total marks also. I do not want to write the formula in total marks. I need the formula only till A2 or E2. So hold the Control and Shift button. Just hold the Shift key and come down once. So for selection, what I did, I went to the neighboring cell, went down, and I selected holding Control and Shift. Control Shift, up arrow. And when I want to remove the first part, the total marks out of my selection, I have holded only the Shift key and the down arrow. So that basically makes my selection. If the data is small, you can just hold the Shift key and select by arrow. If the data is very big, just go to the neighboring cell, go down to the data, and from bottom you select up. It will become easy for you for selection. Now, let's say equal to, since I have selected from the bottom, the first cell is coming at the bottom cell. Equal to sum, don't get worried where it comes, and Control Enter. The same formula will get repeated in all the cells. So anything that you are comfortable with, you are using with, except dragging mouse, you can apply it. You can use Control Enter, or you can use the Control R and Control D, whatever you are comfortable with.
वहां से वायर टूट गया ना तो कुछ सुनाई नहीं देगा तुम्हें, पागलपना मत करो, निकालो उसको।
So this was on the basics of first part, on the sum part. Now let's find the maximum and minimum marks in maths. So when you have to find the maximum, you use the function max and let's say select the data. Now every time I have to go and select the data. So instead of selecting the data, what we can also do is we can create name ranges. We can select a range and give it a name, and that name can be called inside the formula. So instead of I going manually and selecting all of this, I can go inside and call it this range inside the formula. So let's go ahead and create a range. Now, how do we create a range? Select this cell. You can name a single cell also as range if the need be, but select this entire thing. Let's say I select this data. This is one way. I'll talk about 2-3 ways from making selection when the data is big. Come to this place here. This is known as name box and give it a name. Let's say I give it a name Hindi. Do not use reserved name. What are reserved name? Sum, count, average, the functions name that we have, they're all reserved names. Also, I'll upload a list of reserved names which you can utilize going later. Download from LMS. I'll put this file and everything on there. So now we have a range which is known as Hindi. So anytime you come and select this entire range, you will see the name as Hindi. So with the name box, I have named a range. How do I use this range? I can say equal to, let's say, max, and I want the Hindi maximum marks in Hindi. So instead of going there and selecting, I can start writing Hindi and close the bracket. It automatically selects the range. So I don't have to manually go there and work it out. That's one way of making a range. Select the data, go to name box and give it a name. And you can call them inside a formula. Now, what if you have made a lot of ranges? You do not remember the name of the range. Then in that case, you can write, let's say sum, and press F3 inside the formula. When you press F3, you will get all the names of ranges which are created. What is my range? My range is Hindi. I'll select Hindi from here and hit enter. So the sum of all the marks in Hindi is 810. Now, what is the good point of this? The good point of this entire thing is when you are changing the name of the range area, the formulas which are associated with the range automatically changes. You don't have to go ahead and sum them up and do any other thing. They will automatically change, which means how do I change the area inside? In the formulas tab, you have name manager, which is control plus F3. The shortcut key automatically pops up. So when you hit control and F3 on the keyboard, you will get the name manager. So what is my range? Let us make this a little smaller. So let's make it go inside this Hindi range, and you can find it where what is corresponds to the values are here, and it refers to B2 to B13, which is B2 to B13. Now what I want is I want to edit this range. Click on the edit button, come here, and let me select the range till here only. So I have changed the range. Say, come here, say OK, and close. You see, this is automatically changed. Sum and all those things, not in this sheet, in all the sheets where they are associated, everything will automatically change. So you don't have to worry about this. Now, what if I need to create range for all these three? It is not necessary that I go one by one and do it. We can also do the other thing. What, let's do it. Let's delete this entire ranges that I have so that we can create something new. So all the ranges gone. You will see the name coming here because there is no range to refer. Now select the area where you want to have the put the name. I want the name for Hindi, English, and Maths. I'll select them. I'll go to create from selection and top row. Create names from value in the left column, bottom row, right column. Normally we have the headings in the first row. So I'll say from the top row and say now open the name manager. You have all the three ranges working here. So it is not necessary that we create range one by one. If your data is big, select the data and create from selection. Now, since I have created these ranges, I'll call them inside all my formulas. Let's talk about min maths. So I'll say equal to minimum, and I want to call maths. I don't remember where it is. So press F3 on the keyboard, you will get the range. I'll select maths, hit enter and enter. You will get minimum marks in maths as 29. Now, so this was the basic on this thing. Now, if you need to find the average, let's say average marks, just quick fire go through it. So we'll get average and maths F3. Again, I'll pick up maths from here. So I don't have to go again and again and work it out. So we have seen min, max, total, and average. Now let's